right, well, we're here with another player spotlight, and who better to have than Bobby, aka Inbound, coming through. And, Inbound, I have a lot of questions that I normally ask here. We start off, we always like to go back to the past, but I really want to ask you just because you've been in the scene for a while, but this was your first year into the SPL, so I want to know, what was it like, I guess, making that jump, and how's this last year just been for you?
It's been weird. I've been used to competing against the same players for the better part of 2 years, 3 years, and then I'm just thrust into a whole different environment and playing with people that I've never even played against or anything.
Yeah.
And then I'm playing against people that I've never even played against. So it's just weird. I have to learn a bunch of different play styles and how everyone else plays when I was used to these console players and their play styles. Yeah, but it was really weird. It's been a long kind of test, long journey, just learning against all these players. But it's been fun.
Well, hey, it's been a fun journey to watch. But now, we got into that. And again, for people who didn't know, we'll go into, I want to say more of your history a little bit later. We'll talk a lot about, the background. But first, I want to know, where did you grow up and what kind of things did you do growing up that eventually led to, gaming and things like that?
I grew up right outside of the Twin Cities in Minnesota. And I don't know, I played a bunch of sports when I was young. Played baseball, basketball, hockey, soccer, football. I played everything that I could. And then I would just game on the side. And gaming really wasn't a huge part of my younger life. I was just big into the outside, and I would just go out and play outside all the time. And then more as I hit middle school, I just got really into Call of Duty and Halo, and I don't know, just a bunch of Xbox games and PlayStation games. And then I don't know, I loved competition. I've always loved competition and competing against people.
Yeah.
And so I just eventually, I don't even know what it was, but eventually I just started liking gaming a little bit more than sports, and so I just slowly shifted to gaming.
And I mean, yeah, I was gonna say it's hard to not have a competitive nature built in. You played everything. There's not. I think there's a lot of people who, we've talked to, the Europeans or any of the international players typically go towards soccer. I think we've had a couple of baseball players, but I mean, you did everything that you could have listed.
Yeah.
I think that's remarkable to know that you were able to have any time and any energy. I guess that's the glory of being young, right? You have all of that. How did it kind of, I guess, turn into competitive gaming? Was Smite the first one that you started to get competitive with, or did any of those others pick up for you?
Yes, Smite was the first game that I actually tried to be competitive in, and actually tried to compete in a pro league or an official league, I guess. I enjoyed playing COD and Halo, and I'd play it online, but I would try to win every game, stuff like that. But I never actually tried to take that step forward into even an amateur league. And then I didn't have a PC, so I'd play just console games. And really it was just ranked for COD too. I wouldn't even play that. I would just play casual modes, but I would just compete to win every game. I don't know.
Yeah, just go in and win as much as you could, right? Make sure that your win-loss ratio is 80% in those casual games. And they know at that point, right, where you're going to be going. But it sounds like, because you had such a long history of being competitive and that kind of nature built into you, did you have your family supporting you through all of that, or sibling that maybe helped breed some of that competitive nature, or did it just come out kind of naturally for you?
I have two brothers. I have a younger brother and an older brother, and we would compete with everything, who could eat more at Thanksgiving, who could, I don't know, make a farther shot in basketball, who could throw the football farther, and then we had a bunch of really close friends that would come over a ton, and I would just compete with them. It was just 24/7 competing, basically. Everything was a competition. Who could touch higher on a wall or something. It was we just turned everything into a competition, and I'm pretty sure that's just where I get my competitive nature is just. I grew up in a spot where I was just always looking for something to beat someone at.
So, I guess this is a multi-parted question, but essentially, you had mentioned, Smite was the first one that you started looking for official leagues, and I want to know, in two parts, what made Smite different, and when you started playing it, did you ever realize that you were going to get, to the SPL, to where you are now?
I think just because I got to Smite, when it was new, so I knew I could be at the top of the game. When I first started playing COD, I didn't start playing until I think it was World at War, which was the fifth installment or something like that. And it always made me feel like I was starting too late. And like same with Halo, I didn't start until the third one. So I felt like I was starting too late and other people had already had this edge. So when Smite came out, nobody was playing on console before me. I played in alpha. I literally played before anyone else. So I just figured if I started playing and if I actually put the time in, that I could be one of the better players on Smite, like on console. I didn't even know there's a PC league. I'm not even joking. I just thought it was a console game. So I figured I could become like one of the better players, and yeah, so that's how it started.
So you kind of went into it knowing, like, you know what, I know I can grind this game, I know I can get to the top. Did you see yourself getting to where you are now, like to the point where you're in the pro league, you're a name that everyone like will recognize, people are tuning in to watch your games?
I want to say yes, because I know I can be good at stuff. Like, I knew I could be an SCL player, but I never really figured I would be SPL level, just because I didn't think I could ever be good at mouse and keyboard. Like, I had never played mouse and keyboard, so I thought it was just like an impossible transition. So I realistically did not think I could be an SPL level player. But
well, hey, not only have you done it, you've also improved dramatically. Like, you switched over, and you had even mentioned it a little bit earlier, where you were just like, you had to learn new styles of play, had to pick up new gods, like everything that kind of come through. And I would say this year's been a pretty big success for Inbound, at least in my checkbook, as things have been going, especially because you've also now been able to transition into one of the few people, I would argue, in the world, realistically, that is now making a living off of playing a game, right? So I want to know, like, what's your family think about that? Like, it's always got to be an awkward conversation, right? Where you're just like, all right, so by the way, I'm going to move to Atlanta because I'm going to make all of my money playing this game. How does that conversation go down?
honestly, my parents were pretty supportive when like I first kind of brought it up. It started when I was in college where I first started competing, and I told them I was going to drop out of college and just play Smite for a little bit, and they were like, I mean, all right, if you're making money, if it's what you want to do, like, go right ahead. Like, as long as you're making money, it is all right. We will 100% support you.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, just like over time, then I had to move to Georgia, and they're like, if that's what you want to do, if you're making money and like you can support yourself, you can go do it. And I was like, just like able to do what I wanted to do because they believed in me and they knew I could become like one of the best players. So.
And hey, that level of support gets you pretty far, as evidenced by you, right? Where it's just like, as long as you have that someone just backing you for your decisions, you can make it there. And you've showcased to them that it does work out when you make that kind of choice, at least sometimes, right? And it's been really fun watching you guys because, again, like, you came in, you were one of the newer players of the league, even though you weren't necessarily new to Smite. It was something that you had to adapt to. And you got to jump into one of the more interesting team environments. I mean, if you're playing, Season 3, Season 4, Season 5, you're still playing online. It's maybe very similar to the environment you came to. Now you're in a team house, like, you're playing with everybody. And we got to talk to Ducky, a few weeks ago, talking about like behind the scenes stuff. I know like you guys like to go to like Rathens and you'll eat and have like barbecues and stuff like that. But how important do you find that stuff to be, like, for you growing with the team and spending time with them?
I think it's probably got to be the biggest part of a team, like how you grow together, how you communicate with each other, how you spend time together in and out of game. Like, just growing that relationship with, I don't know, technically a coworker / teammate is very, very important, because if there's any bit of like ill content towards another person or another player, the in-game is going to be the worst. So you have to kind of nurture these relationships outside of game, and then they'll transition into these in-game communication enabled like perfection. Like, it's just out of game is way more important than in-game once you're at this top level, because of how much it like determines your relationship, I guess.
And what kind of stuff do y'all do to hang out? I know you personally, like, you've been hitting the gym a little bit more often, things like that, but like, is there some activities, like things that you keep for yourself, things that you do with the team that are really kind of helpful, especially right now, considering we don't really have a lot to get out and go do?
Yeah, I feel like it's weird. Maybe last year it might have been a little bit different, but there's not a ton of stuff to do. So I just look to get out of the house, because I know it's important for me to not be like stuck inside and not doing anything. So I have to get out of the house, and that's why I go to a race to work out all the time. I think for everyone else, they're kind of just fine with being in the house, and they don't mind it, and it doesn't really affect them. And then like we don't do a ton of stuff together. We like play Monopoly. I'm the best Monopoly player, obviously. We play like some Phasm occasionally. We play like rank together sometimes.
Yeah.
We don't really do a ton of like actual activities together. We just kind of like chill and like just talk to each other, and like that is like a lot of our time spent together is either scrimming or just like chilling and talking together.
Well, hey, I mean, it's been growing you together as a team, and like you said, that's a very important aspect. So you've got that relationship built up. Things have been going pretty well, and now we can kind of pivot into that conversation I had hinted at earlier, right? You know, we like looked at the team, we've looked at you, and again, you've been playing for a long time. Like, you know, you've just now made that jump into the Pro League, but you have been at the top of the console scene. You've been a huge name in Smite, you know, for years, even though now is the time you've made this leap for Obey, playing with orgs like Astral Authority, Luminosity, all of this in the background. And so I want to know, out of all of those games, do you have one that maybe stands out to you the most, that was, you know, just one that's so great as a memory that it just means a lot to you?
I think it would have to be I think it would be one of two things. It would be either when we beat Astral as Myth, and we came in as like one of the worst teams, like we barely snuck in. Oh wait, I changed my mind. It wasn't even our game. It was the how was it? Kaz versus Soar from that one LAN in season 3, where Mr. Turtle on Kuzumba or whatever was like a 70-minute game. They like had the 3 Phoenixes down for 20 minutes or something, and Kaz came back and won it to like send us as in Myth to Worlds. And if they lost that game, we wouldn't have gone. And that actually led to us winning our first world, or my first Worlds. So I think 100% it's got to be that game. Even though I didn't play in it, but that is just like the biggest memory. Like once they won, I was on the caster table or whatever. And once they won, I literally just like tore off the desk and just like ran and like hugged all the guys because it was so sick that they won for us.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely a first here as well, at least for me, and hearing from it is a game that you didn't even play in, being the one that was maybe most impactful for you because you got to then, I mean, go win Worlds for you. I think I was expecting it to be you know, the time we won Worlds, that was really solid. Like the first time I won Worlds is always really cool. And I'm sure that's a good memory for you, but I think that's a really nice perspective to have as well. And I just think it's so interesting to think about it. Again, you've had a very long career. A lot of it, I think you've been playing, you know, support, right? And you've been in that role. But if you had to switch, right? If you were right now, let's say the Obey Boys wanted to change things up and they were like, all right, Inbound, you get to choose whichever role you want to go to. What would you choose?
I actually love every single role. Like when I play ranked, I play every role more than I play my own role. Like I actually would not care which role I play, just because I love every role, and I love what every role brings. Like, I love the 1v1 in solo. I love, like, just... I think mid would probably be my least favorite, but I would just love to bring different perspective to mid, like how the Assassins in mid have started to get played. I would like to play mid just to show that you don't have to play a mage in mid. And then jungle's just sick, obviously. Like, everyone loves jungle. And then just the 1v5, like, potential in ADC is just sick. I actually can't choose. I actually love every role.
That's actually, I think, impressive. A lot of these, it's been like, well, you know, I ended up here because, like, you know, I started playing support because my teammates just couldn't do it. So I decided to go do it because I would be better than them at it. Or, you know what, if I could play another role, it'd be this one because they're also impactful. I like the idea that you're just down for anything. Like, you know that you can make it competitive, and you know that you could play it at that level because you put the grind to it. So you're willing to go for the grind. And so I guess, even though there's no specific role in your mind, do you have a favorite god? Somebody that you like to play maybe above the others, or is everybody else like still on kind of par?
I love Serket. I love Serket. Please buff Serket. She is, when she was in meta and support, that was like the most fun I've had in support. Just the outplay, like 1v2 potential, unkillable, like just everything she brought was just so much fun. You could kill a tank, you could kill a squishy, and she just felt better than most gods to play. So that I think it's pretty easily Serket is probably my favorite.
I guess convenient for you that there's at least a couple of metas now that have existed where she got to be support, so you could even play her competitively to come through. But I guess, you know, also watch out if you queue into Inbound and he gets jungle, then be careful. There might be seeing some Serket play come through on the other side. So again, you've had this really interesting perspective, specifically as someone who has played in multiple facets of Smite competitive, now up to the Pro League, you've been on world stages before, all of this stuff. What is something that you would say to someone specifically, like if they just don't understand what it's like to be a pro player, and you were trying to just inform them about the difference between being a Smite Pro and just playing the game for fun?
Whew. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people Smite becomes a job for the pro players. Like they don't enjoy streaming the game because it's just so much time they put into the game. I still find Smite fun. I'll still queue off stream like 10 games a night or something like that. Like I'll just play the game. So I can't say anything in that regards, but like once you get to the top level, the game just becomes so much more fun. The teamwork required, the like shot calling, like everything just is so much more fun the higher level in Smite you become. And when you win, like when you slowly like get higher in the level and you start winning like all these levels of Smite, it's just it's something else. I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it other than it just feels so good to improve at every level and just become like winning at every level. I don't know.
Especially when like you're going up against teams that are regarded as like the number one in the world, and you're like, man, I'm 5 levels up on this guy. Like that's got to be an insane feeling to have going into it. And it sounds like you have like a really positive attitude when tackling it, and I actually feel bad because I skipped one of my favorite questions. You have a positive attitude about this. You just said not only is it really fun, competitively recognizing when you get a lead into like winning these games, but you like playing every single role pretty much equally at that point. And that kind of brings me back to wondering, how did you end up as a support player? I mean, like, what kind of brought you over there competitively as opposed to, being a mid laner or a jungler or a solo laner?
Well, my first actual competitive team on console is like the amateur league before the pro league even became a thing. I was a mid laner. I was a Scylla main because of stealth. So I was only playing like Scylla and ranked, and I would just grind Scylla, and then everyone was just too good at mid, and I recognized I was not the best player in mid, so I role swapped to solo, and I played solo, and I became like a top 10-ish solo on console, and eventually I wanted to just get into the pro league, and I was coaching a team, and they told me to that I had to play support for them for like 2 weeks because our support was just not responding to them. So I took like 2 weeks where I played for them, and we did pretty well. And I ended up getting an offer from another team to play support for them, and it was in the relegations or something like that. And I joined them. We won in relegations, and then I've just stuck out support ever since. So support wasn't even my first like actual role. It was my third.
It's not your first choice. You just kind of ended up there, and now you just
Exactly.
happen to be one of the best in the world, right? Casual talk when it comes down to it. You just sometimes bump into becoming one of the world's top players. Easy peasy. I mean, it sounds so interesting to just follow your career because you bounced around so much, and now knowing, like, as well that you have that experience, like, you played in mid, you've played in solo, you've seen the other roles and done things like that. And so, the final question, I think for everybody, always, what's your final goal in Smite? You want to lift the hammer. But if you had to look at what you're doing kind of for the rest of, I guess, this season, right, until Worlds is over, what kind of goals do you have? Whether it's in the competition and regarding Smite, or whether it's just in life? Like, what do you have on your plate looking forward?
For this year, I want to. So I guess I have like 2 main goals that I want to have for the rest of the year. I want to be a consistent streamer and YouTuber so that people have someone to come to for support, like advice, builds, just like ideas and knowledge. I want to be that person because we don't have anyone really in the SPL that makes support content. So I want to become that person. And then I want to, like, obviously winning is the end goal, but before that, I want to just show that we are a good team. And so basically, I just want to make it to Worlds, and I want to win a couple sets so people just like give us this respect that I think we need to earn. So I guess even before winning, I just want to earn the respect of viewers, of peers, of casters. Like, I just want that respect from everyone else that I think we can get and I want us to get.
Yeah, solidify yourselves as the team that you know you are, right? And I think that's exciting. I'm excited to watch and see what comes out of it, because, I mean, again, at least as of the time of this recording, depending on when people are watching it, it might not be true, but you have a little bit of time to grind on it. I'm sure that the team is, nose to the grindstone preparing for those moments. But you had mentioned, at the first of that, you wanted to be, the go-to streamer, the go-to YouTuber, at least for support play and things like that. So go ahead, like, you shout yourself out, like your Twitch, your YouTube, your Twitter, where people can find you, just to make sure that they follow you there and can find this content they want.
Well, my Twitch is just switch.tv/inbound, and then my YouTube is youtube.com/inbound. Yeah.
So easy enough. It's spelled right down there. Go ahead, type that into your browser. You'll find it. Of course, if you like this one, like player spotlights, we talk to these guys all the time. Inbound, it's been great getting to know you, but you've got tons of others. We had one with Ducky, so a teammate here for Inbound if you're just interested in finding out more about Obey, as well as with Wolfie. So we've been able to get down and know some of you guys. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and you can always hit us up on Twitter at SMITEPro for what you would like to see in the next video. But again, Inbound, thanks for joining me, man. And well, for everyone watching, we'll see you in the next video.